In this class, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the factorization method. Okay, we are asked to find the root of this quadratic equation. Don't forget, in our previous class, I told you root of quadratic equation refers to those values that satisfy the quadratic equation. The root of quadratic equation refers to those values that make that quadratic equation equals to 0. You understand? Okay, so let's start with the first question. We have x squared plus 3x minus 28 equals to 0. Now, how do we solve this quadratic equation? To solve this quadratic equation, you can see that in this quadratic equation, the value of a is what? 1. Hello? I'm very sure you are part of our previous class. A is the coefficient of the unknown that have the highest power. You understand? The unknown in this equation is x. You understand? Now, the coefficient of x squared will be the a. And in this case, a is what? 1, which is the coefficient of what? X squared. Do you understand? A is the coefficient of the unknown that have the highest power. Are you paying attention? So, now, the value of a is 1. This means that this quadratic equation is unity. The value of a in this quadratic equation is unity. That is, it is 1. Now, how do we proceed to solve this quadratic equation? All we have to do is that we have to find two numbers such that when we multiply it, it will give us c. This is c, okay? This is b, and this is a. A is the coefficient of x squared. Do you understand? But there is one in this. There is one at the front of this x squared. It's just that it is invisible. You understand? So a is the coefficient of x squared, which is the coefficient of the unknown that has the highest power. B is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term. Are you paying attention? All this we discussed in our previous class. So if you missed the first class, kindly check the description of this video, and you are going to see some link there. Click on those links to watch other classes. You understand? Okay. Now, the first step is that we are going to find two numbers such that when we take the product of these two numbers, we are going to get the value of c, and when we add these two numbers, we are going to get the value of b. You understand? B is 3, c is negative 28. So you have to think of two numbers. Think very fast. What are those two numbers that if I take their product, I'm going to get negative 28, and if I add them together, I'm going to get plus 3. Those numbers are positive 7 and negative 4. You understand? You just have to think. You understand? 7 times negative 4, it will give me negative 28. Let us try. 7 times negative 4, that is what? Negative 28. And 7 plus negative 4, that will be what? 7 minus 4, which is what? 3. You understand? Because positive times negative is what? Negative. Do you understand? So those two numbers are what? Positive 7 and negative 4. Do you understand? If I add these two numbers together, I got 3. If I take their product, I got 28. You can see now. So the first step in solving a quadratic equation in which the a is unity, that is the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown is unity, that is 1, is that you have to think of two numbers. If you are using factorization method now, you have to think of two numbers such that when you take the product of these two numbers, you are going to have c. C is the constant term in the quadratic equation. Don't worry, you are going to understand, okay? Just pay attention. And when you add these two numbers together, you must get b. B is the coefficient of x. Are you paying attention? So, having known the two numbers, the next step is that I'm going to replace b by those two numbers. The b is what? Plus 3. So, please just pay attention. I'm going to have x squared. Now, the two number is what? Plus 7, negative 4. You understand? So, I'm going to have plus 7. Please pay attention. Plus 7, negative 4 into bracket x minus 28 equals to 0. You understand? Please just pay attention, okay? See, if I had 7 minus 4, I'm going to get 3. So, having known the two numbers that if you take their product, you're going to get the constant term, and if you add them together, you're going to get the b, which is the second term. You understand? So, I replace b by those two numbers. You understand? I add those two numbers together. I replace it by b, and I replace the second term by those two numbers. The two numbers is what? Plus 7 and negative 4. So I replace 3 by plus 7 and negative 4. If I add these two numbers together, I'm still going to get the value of plus 3. Do you understand? Okay, so let us proceed. Here I'm going to have x squared, x multiplied by plus 7. I'm going to have plus 7x, x multiplied by negative 4, negative 4x, minus 28 equals to 0. Do you understand how I got here? I just opened the bracket using x. You understand? So x multiplied by plus 7, I have plus 7x. X multiplied by negative 4, I have negative 4x. Do you understand? Now, the next step is that I'm going to split this equation into 2. You understand? You just have to pay attention. You're going to understand, okay? I'm going to split this equation into 2. This is the first part, and this is the second part. Do you understand? Now, let us factorize each part. That is why we call this method factorization method. You understand? Now, having splitted this equation into 2 parts, I'm going to factorize each part. What is common to x squared and plus 7x? The value that is common to x squared and plus 7x is what? X. So I'm going to have x into bracket x plus 7. Do you understand? Okay? Now, we have got to the second bracket. What is common to negative 4x and negative 28? The value that is common is what? Negative 4. You understand? The value that is common to negative 4x and negative 28 is what? Negative 4. So here I'm going to have negative 4 into bracket x minus, okay, x plus 7. You understand? You have to know how to factorize. You understand? If you didn't know how to factorize, you might have problem solving quadratic equation using factorization method. When we are talking about factorization, we are referring to the factors of 2 or more terms. You understand? What is that term that is common to what we have? Are you paying attention? So the term that is common to x squared and plus 7x is what? X. So I factored it out. That is why we call it factorization method. Okay? So here, now the goal is to make sure that the content in the first bracket is the same as the content in the second bracket. The first bracket is this and the second bracket is this. You can see that we have x plus 7 and x plus 7. So I'm going to choose one. Here I'm going to have x minus 4. X minus 4. Now, equals to, oh, this is equals to 0. Equals to 0. I'm splitting it now, okay? This x minus 4 equals to 0. Then I'm going to choose one of this bracket. You can choose this or this. You are still going to have the same answer. So I'm going to have x plus 7 is also equals to 0. Since I'm looking for the value of x, I'm going to have x equals to what? 4 or what? X equals to what? Negative 7. You understand? That is the value of x for this quadratic equation. Please, I don't know, maybe you get what I'm saying. The goal is to determine the root of the quadratic equation. The root of this quadratic equation are those values that makes the quadratic equation equals to 0 or satisfy the quadratic equation. Are you paying attention? Now, if by the time you substitute the value of x as 4 into this quadratic equation, you are still going to have 0. You understand? If you substitute the value of x as negative 7 in this quadratic equation, you are still going to have 0. Are you paying attention? So that is the final answer. Now, let us proceed to question number 2. We are asked to find the root of k squared plus 7k plus 10. K squared plus 7k plus 10 equals to 0. You understand? Okay? Now, you can see that in this quadratic equation, a is also unity. A is the coefficient of the unknown that has the highest power. Are you paying attention? The unknown that has the highest power is k, and we have k squared. So the coefficient of k squared is what? 1. That means that a is unity. That is, a is 1. Okay? Please just pay attention, okay? Now, how do we solve this quadratic equation? All you have to do is that find two numbers such that when you take the product of these two numbers, you are going to get the constant term. The constant term is c. You understand? The constant term is c. The second term is b. And the first term is a. You understand? Since a, okay, let me represent a small letter, b. A, okay? A is 1. You understand? So there is an invisible one as the coefficient of this k squared. Do you understand? Okay? Now, to solve this quadratic equation, you have to find two numbers such that when you take their product, you must have the constant term. The constant term here is what? 10. What are those two numbers? And if you have these two numbers together, you must have 7 as your answer. What are those two numbers? 5 and 2. 5 and 2. 5 multiplied by 2 will give us 10. 5 multiplied by 2 will give us 10. 5 plus 2 will give us what? 7. You understand? Okay, sorry. Sorry. This is 10, okay? Now, you can see that the numbers that we need is what? 5 and 2. So, in that case, I'm going to replace the second term, which is b, by 5 and 2. Are you paying attention? Just pay attention. You're going to understand. Now, let's go. I'm going to have k squared plus, open the bracket, 5 plus 2, k plus 10 equals to 0. You know what I did? I replaced 7 as 5 plus 2. You understand? 5 plus 2 will give us what? 7. So I replace 7 as what? 5 plus 2. Now, here I'm going to have k squared plus 5 multiplied by k is what? 5k plus 5k plus 2 multiplied by k will give me what? Plus 2k plus 10 equals to 0. Do you understand how I got there? Just pay attention, okay? Now, having gotten to this point, we have to what? Factorize. You understand? We have to separate this equation into two. This is the first part and this is the second part. So I'm going to factorize this bracket. I'm going to factorize the two brackets. What is the, let's deal with the first bracket now, okay? What is the factor that is common to k squared and 5k? The factor that is common to k squared and 5k is what? K. You understand? So I'm going to have k into bracket k plus 5, because if I open the bracket now, I'm going to have 5, k times k is what? K squared. K times 5 is what? 5k. Okay? Let's proceed to the second bracket, plus 2k and plus 10. What is the factor that is common to plus 2k and plus 10? The factor that is common to plus 2k and plus 10 is what? Plus 2. You understand? So I'm going to have plus 2 into bracket k plus 5. You understand? Because by the time you open this bracket using this plus 2, you are going to have plus 2 times k is what? Plus 2k. Plus 2 times plus 5 is what? Plus 10. You understand? This is equals to 0. Now, please, anytime you are dealing with quadratic equation involving factorization method, see, the values that you have in the first bracket must be the same as the values that you have in the second bracket. Do you understand? Hello? Listen to what I said. When you are dealing with quadratic equation, especially trinomial, you understand? Trinomial quadratic equation, the value that you have here must be the same as the value that you have here. Okay? Just use that as an 8. You understand? Also, if by the time you factorize yours, then you got the value of, you get another value in this bracket, another value in this bracket, know that something is wrong. You understand? So when you are factorizing, just pay attention, okay? Pay attention to each details in the term. Now, here I'm going to have k plus 2 equals to 0. Now I'm going to choose one of these brackets. K plus 5 equals to 0. Here I'm going to have k equals to negative 2 and k equals to what? Negative 5. You understand? So the root of this quadratic equation is what? Negative 2 and what? Negative 5. Those are the values of k that satisfy the quadratic equation. Do you understand? Okay, now let us do the third question. Do you understand? Okay, the third question is d squared plus 10d minus 24 equals to 0. Okay, now how do we solve this quadratic equation? How do we solve this quadratic equation? Don't forget, since a is unity, you understand? Please, I want you to understand this thing. You know, when I mean a is unity, it means that a is 1. That is the coefficient of d squared. You understand? A is 1. So if a is not 1, there are some important steps that you have to take before you begin to calculate. Are you paying attention? We are still coming there. Are you paying attention? But we are dealing with quadratic equation where a is unity. Are you paying attention? A, the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown is 1. That is what I mean by a being unity. You understand? So what are the two numbers such that if you take the product of these two numbers, you are going to have negative 24, and if you add these two numbers together, you are going to have positive 10. Those two numbers are, okay, I'm giving you some seconds, okay, to think before I give you the two numbers. The two numbers are 12 and negative 2. You understand? Now, let us take the product of 12 and negative 2. 12 times negative 2 equals to what? Negative 24. And 12 plus negative 2, that will be what? 12 minus 2 equals to what? 10. You understand? You can see that the product of the two numbers equals to our constant term. The constant term is what? Negative 24. And the sum of these two numbers is equals to our second term, which is what? 10. Plus 10. Okay? So, I'm going to replace the second term, which is plus 10, by these two numbers. Are you paying attention? By the sum of these two numbers. Are you paying attention? So I'm going to have d squared now plus the sum of these two numbers is what? 12 plus minus 2. 12 plus minus 2d minus 24 equals to 0. Please, do you understand what I did? What I did is that I just substitute 10 as what? 10 minus 2. Okay? And I put plus because the content in this bracket has to be in additional sign. So by the time we take the necessary arithmetic, it can result into minus. You understand? So let's proceed. Here I'm going to have d squared plus, now 12 plus minus 2. That will give me what? 12 minus 2. Please pay attention. If you take the product of positive and negative, you're going to have what? Negative. So I'm going to have 12 minus 2 d minus 24 equals to 0. Now the next step here is that I'm going to open the bracket using d. So I'm going to have d squared plus 12d minus 2d minus 24 equals to 0. You understand? Okay. Now the next step is that I'm going to, please pay attention, I'm going to separate this equation into two. The first part will be this place, and the second part is this. You understand? Like we did in the previous question. You understand? So here I'm going to factorize. What is common to d squared and 12d? The common factor between among d squared and 12d is what? D into bracket d plus 12. Okay. Now what is common in the second bracket? I'm going to factorize. Factorize what is common. What is common between negative 2d and negative 24? The answer is negative 2. So I'm going to have negative 2 into bracket d. Are you paying attention? Minus 12. Okay? Oh, it is positive 12 now. Because, please pay attention. If you put negative 12, negative 2 times negative 12, that will give us what? Positive 24. Is not true. So negative 2 times positive 12, that will give what? Negative 24. You understand? So please, I beseech you, when you are factorizing, kindly pay attention, you understand, to every terms in the bracket. Okay? So here I'm going to have d minus 2 equals to 0 and d plus 12 equals to 0. You understand? D equals to what? 2, or d equals to what? Negative 12. That is the solution to that question. If you want to check, you can substitute the value of d as 2 or negative 12. The quadratic equation will give you 0. You understand? That is the answer to that quadratic equation. So this is the second class. You can I want to do something. Attempt the question 4 and drop the answer in the comment section. Okay? Attempt the question 4 and drop the answer in the comment section. So that will be all for this class. So in this class, the type of quadratic equation that we solve is those quadratic equations where a is unity. There are some quadratic equations where the value of a is not unity. A is the coefficient of the unknown that has the highest power. You understand? As you can see that the coefficient of x squared here is 1, and for other equation, the coefficient of the unknown that has the highest power, which is 2, is what? 1. You understand? So, but there are some quadratic equations where the coefficient of the unknown is not unity. You have to do some step. So that's what I'm trying to say. So by the time we get to our next class, we are going to deal with that. Okay? So I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Okay? To watch the next class, kindly check the description of this video. You are going to see a link there. Click on that link, or you should check the playlist on this channel. Okay? See you in the next class.